This is where the fun begins.
Are you sure? So be it.
That's just a rumor that has kind of crawled up through fandom for years and years and years. I know that Tim met George Lucas. They had a sit down conversation before the first book was done. I know that as with any of the novels, everything is cleared through Lucasfilm, and 100% for anything as major as a love interest being developed for Luke. That's a decision that George would have given a yes or no on.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And
Right.
it's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Did you miss me?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the OG Star Wars channel. And I am your host, OG Star Wars, Miss Alora Baga. And I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And it is our Thursday morning CAF meetup to talk Star Wars lore, the state of Star Wars, and of course, the ever amusing Cringe Factor. So I see people are bouncing in. Thank you guys for coming in. And as you come in, press that like button. Share the stream out to all platforms. I always fail to share to all the Star Wars platforms on Facebook. But if you are part of any of those groups, share over there. I always share on Twitter because Twitter basically is my account, my platform account for this channel. So share there. And of course, let your friends and family know that they can come sit down with us and chat Star Wars. And if you're catching the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Excuse me. If you taken the time out to catch the replay, please hit that like button, share, and most of all, become a channel member. Become a channel member. And I see everybody hopping in. Hello to every single one of you. And today's topics, basically, we're going to get into the lore of A'Sharad Hett. And of course, we'll have to visit a little bit of his father because, you know, his father's death and his experience being raised on Tatooine, you know, and basically set up A'Sharad Hett for what is to come of that character. And man, that character, Such a tragic character, but very, very amazing at the same time. If you are able to pick up, the comics associated with him, like the Clone Wars multimedia project ones, the Republic ones, feel free to get started. You haven't. Whenever I talk about these characters, I forget to tell you the books and the comics to where to find them. So I'm going to do that later on. I promise you guys. I will list all the material that A'Sharad Hett is in the YouTube community on Twitter and also the community here on YouTube, so that you guys can have a starting point, especially if you haven't read through all of his character arcs, I guess you could say. And I say arcs because he did have a couple of character arcs and still the same character. He just became Darth Krayt. So that's an amazing, amazing character. So we'll get into that here pretty soon. So let me see who is in the chat. And I see Soul Assassin here. Maud, thank you so much. All right. So we have Star Wars Scran here. He says, listening on the way home. Thank you so much for listening on your drive home. Drive safe if you're still in the car or wherever you're traveling. I'm assuming that you're in the car. I'm pretty sure you're not in the plane unless you've got internet. You can purchase Wi-Fi and still cruise around on the internet while you're traveling in the skies. Okay. So let's see here. We have Red Hoodwinked here. Morning, afternoon, OG and chat. Same to you. Cheers. And of course, I do have my mug of coffee. I'm not coming on camera because Tuesday night, my internet was being a bitch a little bit when I was on camera. So it was freezing and stuff. However, I'm not having any glitches or anything now. We had new equipment, everything come up or be installed. So maybe that was just, it's working, it's kinks out, or maybe because everybody was home. But I'm going to go ahead and stay off camera today. So next Thursday, you'll have I'll grace you with my face. That sounds weird. I'll grace you with my face. Huh. That's left the imagination. Wow. Okay. The fractured filter. Good morning to all, and chat. Smash that like button. Yes, smash it. And thank you for hopping in. I know usually you catch the replay. So if Wraith Squadron, and this is Jag. Hey, how you doing, Jag? Another channel member. Thank you for jumping on. So if Wraith Squadron is based on the A-Team, what does that make Rogue Squadron? You know what? That I think the Rogue Squadron is based upon World War II or something, or World War I. I'm not sure. I have to go back and see what Stackpole said about that. So, but Wraith Squadron is amazing. They're a part of the X-Wing series, and I've had debate with people like, well, when we started seeing Disney split the X-Wing series up into two through the Essential Legends label, which I do not agree with, but people are like, oh well, Rogue Squadron and Wraith Squadron are basically essential two series. Not really. They complement each other. They're still part of the same series because we get information of why the Wraith Squadron needs to be formed and what came of it with the idea through Wedge. It's all one. It's all one series. If it wasn't meant to be, then they wouldn't label it under X-Wing series. So there's that. But, it is what it is. To me, it always will be what the original intent of the company that made this lore, made this history, and it's all under X-Wing. So Wraith and Rogue Squadron, both amazing. And I think they do come together and work with each other from time to time as well, throughout the whole timeline so it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. I know one time, Jaina got to work with them in New Jedi Order, and she ended up being, the twin of mischief or whatever it was. She was, in that the Vong had in their lore. So that was amazing. So twin of mischief queen or whatever. And so she got to act that out. That was very amazing. So she got to work with Wraith because they too are, the ones that kind of act out. They have to go top secret. They have to go undercover. So very interesting bit of people squadron there. All right. So Tyranna Zilla Hello there. I've read 5 chapters of the second Darth Bane novel, and it's great. The scene where Bane leaves Zana behind to find her own way off the planet was genius. Oh God, yeah. That's there are so many good writers that George Lucas and his company brought in. And yes, of course, there are some novels that are not, like left to be desired. I'll say that. But man, there's some genius writers. Carpathian, nice job. So let's see here. Let's see. Soul Assassin says, "Hey y'all, please smash that like button." Yes. Listen to the mod. Listen to the mod. He's keeping us all in line here. And the host can get crazy sometimes. Um, so I admire him for wanting to come and mod my channel. Thank you so much, because I can get crazy sometimes. The Fracture Filter says it is. Oh yeah, you guys are talking there. This is what happens when I just click and I'm looking at the screen or reading something real quick. And then Angry Wookie. Hey, what's up, Angry Wookie? Nice to see you here. I don't believe I've seen you here before. If I have, or if I missed you, if you came in before, I'm sorry. Hey y'all. I am so glad you're here. And another channel member, Melissa Lord. Hey, Laura at OG Star Wars. Thank you for jumping in. And Brandon is here too. Hey, 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 everyone. AU lover here, hot from the battlefront. And welcome another channel member here. Thank you for hopping in. Let's talk lore. And with A'Sharad Hett, I do have like the character information that I could share on screen too. So those come in handy, because then I'm like, I don't have to write down notes and I don't have to pre-prep, because there's times, and I haven't tried. I'm doing my PowerPoint thing here, because I know for a while the PowerPoint wasn't really working for StreamYard. So hopefully they took care of that bug. But there's times in the morning or in the evening times before I go to bed, I'm writing down key points I want to talk about, because I know you guys all bounce off. If you know the character or the lore or whatever we're talking about, we bounce off each other. And so I'll write key points down, have the paper in front of me or whatever, and also go off the top of my head from what I remember, what I've read. And but these things, these little story arc pages are amazing to get. If you can get them, or if you have them and you can scan them and use them, that's amazing. So I'll be using that, because it's also an awesome visual as well. Yeah. So, but later on, I'll try to do the PowerPoint again. I think it's very fun and interesting, and it shows how much time I put in for you guys for this CAF chat, because I'm a nerd like that. I'm a nerd. Brandon says, Shield Slayer in the house. Okay. And the Fracture Filter says, I'm running into you quite a bit, Melissa Lord. Good morning to you. Yes, she is amazing. She's a great supporter of many channels that I go and visit, and either a panel on or a mod on, or just go into the chat. Thank you so much, Fracture Filter, for your support, and also Melissa Lord. Yes, I thought I'd highlight that. I'm listening to the stream while slaying shills. Okay. All right. And then Quentin, hello. The artwork done by Ken Kelly on most of the Republic comics are absolutely masterful. I agree. And, maybe because A'Sharad Hett, our lore talk's going to probably happen maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 streams, because there's so much going on with him throughout the timeline, the history of Star Wars, leading him into Legacy. So I also want to pull up some comic strips, panels. And with that, we'll talk about the art, but not today. That's not my focus today. My focus is introducing the character to you guys and getting this conversation started. Let's get it started. I'm not gonna try to attempt at that song, but that melody, that beat hopped in my head. Couldn't help it. Superpowers, please do. Let me see here. All right, let's see here. I love how you guys are chatting with each other in the chat. And then Soul says, Alphabet Squadron is the best. Why did you have to go there? Oh my God, where did it go? Where did that highlight go? Because it jumped on me major time. There we go. All right, and it's Brandon says the EU is a true Star Wars canon. It is. It is tied to the saga. Basically, is part of the saga, the movies. It's part of the saga, the movies. And I did share that clip of Stackpole talking about Zahn and George and Zahn deciding the fate of Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker. So there's that debate again going on Twitter because Scron shared that video, and so I engaged in it with some facts and some proof and all that fun stuff like I normally do if you guys know me. And I got blocked, but that's just a story of my life there. I got blocked because he didn't want to deal with me anymore, I guess, but that's okay. Instead of like conceded and say, okay, well, there's this. I see your evidence, I see your proof. And we all know that George Lucas and in himself, just separate from a lot of things, he contradicts himself all the damn time. He says one thing, the next day he says another. And we all recognize that. But what is apparent is the actions of the company and the actions of George. They say actions speak louder than words, right? So look at the actions of, and you'll see the proof in front of you. Like they say, the proof is in the pudding, right? And that is the company was approved or was given approval by George to have the EU as a part of the initial saga, as a part of the single continuity and the single canon. And that's how they produced it. That's how they developed it. That's how they marketed it. That's how they planned it. And it was a brilliant plan. And so, and there's plenty of evidence behind that with authors talking about it, with the publications, all of that. But I'm not here to talk mainly about that. But I just wanted to get that out, is that George contradicts himself a lot. George says stuff. He said stuff. But his actions and his company's actions speak louder than words. And that was, everything was one continuity in a single canon. It's all there. It's all there. So, but anyways, I digress from that. Let's get back into this, back into the chat here. Supa says, KOTOR contradicts itself constantly as a theme. I haven't had a chance to play the games, and the games I know that are quasi-canon, I guess you can say. I have read through the series that was being established. So, you should. It's very despite almost unfinished. It's very good despite almost unfinished. Okay, let's see here. It's like eating a really good restaurant burger, but only gets soggy right at the end. Oh, what analogy! Why would it get soggy? Why would a burger get soggy? Well, I guess if the condiments are, if it's flooded with the condiments, or maybe your hamburger is medium rare, maybe, or whatever, you have a lot more juice, I guess you could say. That sounds so weird. So moisture. They hate troopers. They completely wasted Captain Phasma and ruined. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about there because I don't get into that stuff. Christopher Barker is here. Hey, Alora, some modern gaming BS going on with Star Wars Outlaws. I seen that, and I finally posted about it on Twitter. And it's about the main characters. I don't even know her name. The feminine Han Solo, basically, how she looks butch. And if that's what they want, then I guess that's what they're gonna give you guys. That's their target. They're afraid of a pretty face, a feminine face. They're afraid of boobs and hips. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like they're staring away because they want the strong female woman, but then of course they're gonna make her look like a man. Ironic, isn't it? That us women, like our mothers and our grandmothers, fought for rights as a woman to wear what we want and stuff, but still keep our feminine side. But now look at where we're at. But that's what's going on. And you know that guy wore from what is it called? It's one of our family's favorite movies, and I'm drawing a blank, but he's like, warriors, come out to play, yay. You know, that movie. Oh, God, that's such a good movie. And I can't think of the name. My life, if my life depended on it, I'd be dead. Yeah, so she looks like that guy where he's in the car and he's got the bottles on his fingers and he's jangling them and he's like, warriors, come out to play, yay. Crazy shit. Crazy shit. Okay, let me see what's going on here. Let's see. Jim, hello, another channel member. Welcome, welcome, and good morning from Cali, the West Coast. The more I learn of Napoleonic Wars, the more I see parallels I see with Napoleon and George when it comes to continuity. Napoleon was rather vague with his order and his chief of staff. Interesting. Whoops, it jumped on me. Sorry. And then Marshall Barter was able to interpret them rather well, like the Leland She was able to do. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. I love researching history, lore, myths, all of that. I'm a nerd that way. So thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. And maybe those in the chat who are interested, would like to look into that as well. They even tried to use pretty model for the I seen that outlaw character and then did the poor girl wrong by putting a big ass jaw on her. Oh, I know. And I know I see everybody going back and forth about that and it's funny, but what are we going to do? Whether play it, don't play it. It's an injustice to how they're representing women, but what are we gonna do? It's just a fucking fantasy. It's Disney Star Wars. What do you fucking expect? It's funny at the same time. I'm not trying to be snide or condescending or anything like that. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. It's Disney fucking Star Wars. And you could take that in any context you want because literally they are fucking Star Wars, right? All right. So let's see here. The warriors. Yes. Nothing inherently wrong with showing different types of women. Of course there's not. But if Disney really supported equality, they would show both. Okay, I am going to show a badass woman in Star Wars that dressed not like a woman. And I think there's a few of them, but I'm going to show one specific one. So let me go ahead and take this out because I have something already on standby. But I'm going to show a similar character. And I want you to tell me what you think about her. Let me see here. And, okay, I want her side by side with her actual live character. But it's not going to give it to me. And I hate when I look at something and it's kind of pixelated a little, but it's a game. Maybe now you guys know what I'm talking about. But, shit. I just want the image. I don't want anything else. I hate when I do that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share this with you guys. And let me see here. Okay, there is my where I need to be. Show screen. Here we go. So right here, this character right here, Jan Ors, who is, basically she is an operative for the rebellion, the budding rebellion, but she also, did some smuggling and other things, whatever she was needed to do. She's not fully a smuggler, but you get what I'm saying. She isn't dressed feminine. She's got the goggles on. But look at her. Look at her. Look at this. Look at it. But yeah, so that's the thing, is still honoring the feminine while dressing her, I guess I wouldn't say butch, but dressing her in non-feminine clothing that is an attire pertaining to her profession and what she needs to do. In Star Wars, we have we have Twi'leks that wear next to nothing, and like their garments formed to their bodies. That's them. and even as smugglers, so we have that. And then we have women like Jan Ors that go more on, I guess you could say, that what you want to classify as tomboy side. And so this is like an example of doing it right, making the image right. If you want her to be more of tomboyish, rough kind of woman. And let me see here. Let me go back to that window. Let me see here. I know, like I said, I wanted to show her image of her of the live action image of her. So here, come on now. Don't do this to me. Let's see here. So here is her model image right here. Here is her model image. Now, side by side, they kept true to it, right? They kept true to the character and what she's supposed to look like. So there we go. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yep. And Lucas tried way too hard to please the PT haters. TCW was a clear example. I don't know if that was him trying to please the PT haters at all. I think he didn't care. But I mean, if that's how you see it, and I will try to look at it in that perspective, but I don't see it. But thank you for pointing that out, because, sometimes we need to, look at things in a different light just to understand what's really going on. Dan the Man is here. Hey, Dan the Man. Finally caught a live. Loved your deep dive into Luke's Jedi Order in the EU. Need more of that in canon. Well, yeah, I talked about the canon. Disney Star Wars is not canon. It's just Disney Star Wars lore. Let me see. It is the 120 deluxe edition with season pass. Oh yeah, I know. It's there's all kinds of stuff tied to it. I'm not interested. So been a while. What did I miss? Hey, the anonymous gamer. Nothing. We're just getting started here, just chatting and talking about a game that Disney Star Wars brought out called Outlaws, I guess you could say, and its main protagonist character, and how unfavored she is. Yeah, if I'm staying away from the game primarily because Disney Lucasfilm fucked them, but I also because the Ubi shit and pulling their usual BS. Yeah. Let's see here. As for Stellar Blade, which is another game coming out, outrage over how the character looks like a fuck doll. Seems like a Dark Souls style game. I don't know about that one, but yeah, thank you for sharing. Let's see here. Booyah, my girl Jan. Yeah, there you go. See, I thought I would use that since we're talking about Star Wars and using a live image, like a model for the character and getting that right. And I don't understand why they made her hair that light brown for that outlaw. But hey, what I know, look at her face. She looks like a warrior. She looks like one of the warriors. So there we go. Yep, Jan Ors for the win. And what's so funny is that I refaced my face on the model and even on the character, like the character, and there's hardly any changes. It's like I can pull off a cosplay with Jan Ors and not worry about the facial features and stuff like that. It's amazing. Jan Ors is awesome. Let me see if I have my avatar of me as Jan Ors, because I have me as Mirax Tarek, which I could pull off pretty cool, pretty easy too. Okay, edit audio avatar. Let me see here. Oh yeah, here we go. I have 3 of them up here. I'll use this one. So there it is. You can't see it. I'm tiny right here. Let me bring myself up real quick. So there we go. Let me pull on another one here. I like this. I like the cartoon one. So there we go. I can pull it off pretty easy as being, cosplaying. So there we go. Let me see. Oh, did I even read this one? Jan Ors is awesome. She didn't take shit from anyone and was still likable. Correct. I mean, she was all over. She was hounding on Kyle Katarn when they first met, and before he fully crossed, before he fully, came over to the rebellion and stuff. Man, she was on him like crazy. She was like suspecting him, all this other stuff. Of course, they started budding a relationship, which I think was natural and organic. I think it was pretty good character development between the two. Soul Assassin says two leaks wear a revealing clothes to help manipulate other species, especially the males. Correct. Correct. And they are also proud of their bodies. They are proud of their bodies. Let's see here. Star Wars Grand. I'll have to catch the rest on replay. Have fun, folks. You have a good day or night. Thank you for hopping in and listening. And yeah, please catch the replay and leave comments. She just looks like a grease monkey pilot. Totally fits the character. Stuff like Star Wars Outlaws is part of the reason I'm not particularly fond of feminism in the modern age. Yeah, I've talked about that before. It's like everything that was, that the women of the past did is now in vain because they've taken it to extremes today. And that's what I have to say about that. Yeah, I agree. It feels like it makes mockery of women. I heard the guy who portrayed Kyle Katarn here owns his own vineyard. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. If it's here in California, I'm gonna have to go visit. That'd be interesting. I'll take pictures holding a wine with him, and I'll go dressed up as Jan Ors. That would be fucking weird. Yes, that would be weird as hell, though. People be like, what the fuck? Who's this crazy ass woman? Okay, Soul Assassin says Juno Eclipse used to use a likeness of the model of Bastille of a model and Bastille. Correct. Sean looks a little like the voice actress Jennifer Hill. Games were better under Lucas era. Yeah. And even with Mara Jade and her character, they needed a model for her character as well. And so that's why we have Shannon McRandall. And there's a lot of them, like even Aura Singh, and even Aura Singh had her own model, of course, because she was an image, like she appeared in the Phantom Menace, which is coming up. The anniversary is coming up. And if you follow me on Twitter every Monday, except for the last week, that's leading into its anniversary, you're gonna get the Phantom Menace tone poem that was in commercials back then. So those are pretty interesting. So those are scheduled to go out. So stay tuned for those every Wednesday leading up to the anniversary of the Phantom Menace. Jag says, someone tries to draw a traditional Disney character, and that's incredibly racist. Disney Lucasfilm whitewashes an EU character and changes 3 vowels on the name and not a peep. I know. All right, you guys. So I just wanted, since this subject came up, I just wanted to, touch basis on that and do a compare and contrast, which we did, even though I didn't say, oh, we're doing a compare and contrast. I compared this scenario with the scenario of Dark Force's game, and with Jan Ors and who her live model is. And it's a shame. It's a shame that they have to go that way. They did it. What do I have to say? It's expected, right? It's expected. And why are we fighting over it when we know that that's what happened? We're fighting over it as if we're gonna, I'm not saying we as in us, but it's being fought over as if these people are going to actually go buy the game and get involved in it. They ain't going to fucking buy the game. Or maybe they are just to play and review. I don't know. But they're fighting over it that way. And maybe due to the fact that they're showing exactly what's going on and what Disney's doing. But we already know what they're doing. We already know. So they're just repeating themselves again. I don't know. I think it's funny. I had to share that it looks like one of the warriors because it's quite funny. It is quite funny. Like, and it's art. So I don't know, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So with that being said, let's get into the lore of A'Sharad Hett. We are already within over half an hour of our time here. And I have this Jason Fox is here with the member 9-month chat. Hey there. 9 months, not bad. There we go. 9 months, that's enough time to form a new life, Thank you so much. And Soul Assassin's like, yes, we're finally talking about A'Sharad. Has hell of a story. Yeah. It is friggin' amazing. So let me go ahead and now switch what I'm going to share. Let me see here. Share screen. Since I wanted to talk a little bit about Janors and that production here. Since that was brought up. So we have this here. Let me go ahead and zoom in. Now, I promised a new emoji. It is going to be a Tusken Raider. I think I'm going to use A'Sharad Hett or A'Sharad Hett because I think those are a couple of wonderful images to use. I thought I was going to have it up by today for you guys, for your channel members, but I don't. So by next Thursday, I'll have new emojis up. One's going to be of Tusken Raiders of one of the Hetts. So let's see here. Let me go back to the screen real quick. And I love sharing this here because then it gives you guys visuals too. It gives you guys visuals. And later on, I will sit down and give all the material and post it for you guys to pick up the books where to find these guys. Let's see here. And let's see here. Christopher Barker says, oh, they're talking. All right. So what do you guys know about this character? Before I start giving some information here, what do you know about this character? What do you like about this character? And what do you think? Know, like, and think. Know, like, and think are the questions. What do you know? What do you like? And what do you think? So like and think can probably be within the same context. So yeah. And how many of you guys have read the series or at least know a little bit about? You might know him on the legacy end, which is fine. But do you know him on the Clone Wars multimedia project end? Now that's the question. Those are some amazing comics that came out. Man, 10 times, 100, 1,000 times better than what TCW could ever given you regarding the Clone Wars era, and even Anakin's fall. And man, does this really reveal a lot about Anakin. Because just as we get into A'Sharad Hett's story, this is a time frame where Anakin thinks he lost his master. And so he's given to another master. And guess who it is? It's A'Sharad Hett, which goes into a lot of Anakin's feelings about Tusken Raiders. What happened to his mom, and living on Tatooine, of course. So having that stigma against the Raiders, Tusken Raiders, because of how brutal they are, how brutal their culture is, how they see themselves more superior than anybody else, even the Jawas, even though the Jawas are natives there, and all that. So very great story between the two, but very great story about A'Sharad Hett, even his father, Sharad Hett. And in fact, we're going to get a little bit into it. And next week, we'll get into more Sharad Hett and then jump back into Hett's story, A'Sharad Hett's story. Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a mouthful right there. Let's see here. Red Hood Week says, nothing but I'm ready to learn. Awesome. I hope this sparks your interest because this is an amazing storyline right here. And this character is a tragic character, kind of mirrors Anakin in a way. The anonymous gamer, and it ties in the Skywalker lineage very well throughout this too. So, and you'll see and know why as we go along talking about this character. Isn't A'Sharad the only witness to Anakin's massacre of the Tusken Raider village in the EU? No, he didn't witness it, but Anakin confessed to him. So we'll get more into that. Never really read most of the stories involving him other than Legacy Comics. Yeah, and I figured there's some people that will only know him through Legacy, which is an amazing story upon itself, right? But and that conversation between Darth Krayt or A'Sharad Hett and Cade Skywalker when Cade is captured is a captive and stuff of theirs is amazing. Because we see Cade and he's his own badass self. I mean, he's not like any other Skywalker character. And he seems like Kate Skywalker seems like he has a little bit of everyone's personality, but it makes it uniquely his own. You can see his snide ass remarks of, how Mara Jade acts and stuff. But so that's one thing. I love that moment. But we're gonna get into these early years. And this man's life span expands from just before the Clone Wars all the way into the new Jedi Order and into Legacy. And we'll find out and we'll discover why he lives that long, what happened to him for him to start turning more and more and more. All of that. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun month of chatting, talking, lore talk about A'Sharad Hett. Jim the Despot says, love A'Sharad Hett. I have plans for him in my rewrite. Awesome. I can't wait to hear about it. Triana says, I've heard about A'Sharad Hett from JJ Plagiarism's channel. Anakin says behind his back that he would have killed the Tusken Raider over and over if he could. Oh yeah. There's oh my God. We'll get to that. Woo, that's a lot, right? A lot. This is like the story, like the Clone Wars multimedia project. If you think New Jedi Order is dark, holy crap. So is the multimedia project of the Clone Wars. TCW has nothing on making the Clone Wars look dark. Nothing. Not whatsoever. Nothing. And you can argue and say, well, it's a kid's show. But so George also said that about like Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back. There was some dark shit in that too. Even A New Hope. So I don't use that excuse. Oh, well, it's a kid's show. No. Finally caught a stream. Hello to you, Archangel. Alora, slow your roll. Archangel. Angel. Breathe. Okay. All right. We'll be here. You can always rewind and catch up. Let's see here. Love his lightsaber design. Yes. There's 3. He went through 3, actually 2. One he had was his father's, one he had of his own, and one he had as Darth Krayt. So there we go. And they stole Hett's story from the stupid Boba Fett show, for that stupid Boba Fett show. How's that? I'm not correlating. So, yeah. Okay. Anonymous Gamer says, I was under the impression that the Vong technology that the Vong tortured him when they captured him somehow kept him alive for a very long time. We will get into that eventually. Oh my God. I know everybody's like, oh, hyped. We're talking about A'Sharad. Well, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That was like a bit of like not reading and stuttering and thinking and talking too fast, all of that. All right. Christopher Barker says, been watching The Bad Batch, seems very boring. Oh, look, the Empire's trying to make Force sensitive clones. Yawn. Yeah, that's the gist of it. I've been catching some reviews here and there just out of curiosity. Doesn't spark my interest. It's like, how long can you drag on this? Like, oh, they're gonna clone when we already know that they cloned. Put some substance into it, I guess you can say. But that's Filoni and his baloney. He can't put really any true substance in that shit. Let's see here. Yes, smash the like button. All right, so let's get into this, you guys. It's been on my mind to talk about this character. So, of course, we know that he's human, that he is the son of A'Sharad Hett. And what was his mom's name again? Oh, crap. I was just reviewing that earlier. But she was another captive adoptive. So if you guys don't know much about the Tusken culture, they also, just like the Mandalorian culture, rely on adoptives to keep their tribes, their people alive. Yes, they breed themselves. Of course they do. But they rely on adoptives as well. But how they do that is very, very different. They torture you. And if you survive and if you conform, I guess, to the culture, like give in for the sake of living and stuff, then you become a Tusken. Very brutal. It's like they torture you, manipulate you, all of that. That's horrible, right? That sounds horrible. And then you're confined to wrapping yourself mostly up in living that style. But Tuskens and humans are not compatible. They cannot breed. So A'Sharad Hett's mom and dad are both humans. And she basically died shortly after when he was a baby. I don't know if she was caught in a sandstorm or something. I don't remember now. I should have at least written that down. Maybe we'll read it here so it rekindles my memory. But so she died when he was a baby, when he's little. And so he was raised by his father and very proudly raised as a Tusken as well. Let's see here. So this is around 31 BBY, Battle Before Yavin. So let's see here. In the last years of the Old Republic, it was rare for the Jedi to be born of Jedi. A'Sharad Hett, son of Sharad Hett, was one of those few individuals. So Sharad Hett was a Jedi who that went missing. And I'm going to go in a little bit just to catch you guys up a little bit. And then next Thursday, I was going to say tomorrow, next Thursday, we'll get into A'Sharad Hett a little more and then bounce back to the sun. And basically he became adopted into this Tusken tribe. And from that adoption, he began to establish a little bit more, I guess you could say, morals to them. Hope, maybe. I don't know. And if you read if you read the Kenobi novel, if you read the Kenobi novel, you would get more lore to that. Again, cross-fertilization of the lore. Amazing thing that Disney doesn't seem they can do very well is keep continuity. But under George Lucas and Lucasfilm, you have this beautiful cross-fertilization of continuity. And it all ties in. Yeah, there was some little mistakes because as the company started growing, its EU, its lore, its continuity, there was some hiccups. There always is. I've never said any different. So you will get a bit of that history too with Ayark telling of, and Ayark's her adopted sister was Sharad's Hett's wife. So there's that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let me bounce back to the screen here. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right. Let me see here. Plague I from Kenobi knew about the Hetts. Yes, because her adopted sister was Sharad's sister. They were sisters through adoption. Tuskens didn't kill children, but took them in, and some don't leave the group at all when when given a choice. Yeah, and when it's children, they're easier to influence, mold. So we know that. Like with today's history, we're seeing that right now. But children are easier to mold. Adults get tortured and stuff. And I really think that if Shmi would have survived and given in mentally, all of that, I think she would have became a Tusken Raider, but she didn't. She didn't survive that. Let's see here. That's what I enjoyed about the Kenobi novel, was the tidbits of Tusken lore and all. I still think Anakin did nothing wrong, but made the Tuskens intriguing without trying to make them sympathetic. I agree with that. And people are like, oh, well, the Kenobi makes the Tuskens look more human. Not necessarily, because Ayark, our plug eye, she basically goes into their lore, what they do, how they see everyone as in superior, and they're more superior, but also, even the flaws within her own culture. But again, it's not too humanizing to where they're sympathetic, that you become sympathetic of them. Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So let's get back into this. So A'Sharad Hett was once one of the greatest Jedi A'Sharad Hett. Yeah. So that's the father, Jedi of his age. Within a few short years of attaining knighthood, Sharad's name was echoing across the myrid worlds, spoken everywhere with a mixture of awe and reverence, reverence and fear. In some region, he was known as the Howl Runner. Well, elsewhere they called him Hound of Worlds or Nemesis of the Kim. He fought and was he fought in innumerable battles, and countless individuals owed him for his for their lives, basically. And I cannot read. I wish I would have grabbed my friggin' reading glasses. So bear with me. Then some 15 years before the Battle of Naboo, A'Sharad had disappeared, and many presumed he died. It was only in the month immediately following the conflict that news emerged of his survival. So there we go. So again, like I said, we'll get into more details of what happened to him and stuff like that here. But we're going to go ahead and we'll probably give it a little bit more here than what I want, but that's okay. So, and in the tribe, following the crash landing on Tatooine, Hett had been adopted by the Tusken tribe. With the aid of the Force, he had quickly found favor amongst them. So that's kind of what saved him in a sense, even marrying one of their number, a great warrior known as Kashyyyk. There we go. I knew that was going to be there, whom he came to love dearly. Together, they had a child named A'Sharad. So we'll get more into his character next week, because that is, amazing. That is amazing story in itself. Let's see here. I'm just going to look here because, like I said, I'm going to get into this later. All right. So let's see here. I'm going to see what you guys are saying. I need a drink. My throat is a little dry right now. Oh, and thank you so much, the Republic Audio Comics. Let me see. My mom loves when Anakin kills a Tusken Raider. She said if she had seen Attack of the Clones in a theater, she would have given the screen a standing ovation. Wow. And let's see here. Things I fucking hate in modern games, unfinished games as a service, and microtransactions. There we go. I know you're really about the games. I feel you. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you. It was one of the proudest days of A'Sharad's life, but so basically it's going into here. So let me go ahead and just get through this all here. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to, again, talk more about A'Sharad Hett and go into more of A'Sharad next week as well. So let's get into this here. You might as well just follow through with what I'm giving you here. So basically, let's get into A'Sharad's character data more. So, of course, his homeworld, he was born on Tatooine, so he's one of the boys of Tatooine. Anakin wasn't born there, but he was raised there since, I believe, 3 or a little younger. Affiliations, of course, the Old Republic's vehicle, the Republic Cruiser, and weapon, 2 lightsabers, red blades. So he had 2 of his own, and then he had his father's at one time. So there we go. There we go. So let's see here. Where was I at? So basically they had a child, him and Kashyyyk had child, and she died in the desert storm. Yeah, that's what I remember. A'Sharad could not have hoped for a more devoted and attentive father. Sharad had been separated from his own family at birth, and in raising his son, it seemed that he was trying to be the father he never had. Interesting. So, I can't wait to get more into this later. But just imagine being, not having your father figure or even a mother figure, no parents, and then having a child. And so being the best you can be because you never had that. Like you never had that genetic familial relationship. Even though he did have the order, I guess you could say. Realizing that his son was strong with the Force, Sharad undertook to train him in the ways of the Jedi, but not all of the at the expense of the boy's Tusken heritage. And there we go. This is what makes A'Sharad Hett very, very unique. Because he is fully raised in the Tusken traditions, culture, ways, as well as a bit of training through the Jedi ways as well. Where we have his father on the opposite end, who was raised under the Jedi, basically, and then adopting the Tusken culture. So we have their opposites, I guess you can say. Rather, A'Sharad's upbringing was a curious mix of peaceful ways of the Jedi and the harsh, even brutal practices of the Tusken Raiders. Over the years, Sharad had managed to reconcile those two extremes, and he worked hard to pass this understanding down to A'Sharad. It was 15 long tattooing cycles before A'Sharad Hett once again came to the attention of. Let me see. It's my. Oh, I better plug in my laptop so I don't lose you guys. They gave me a warning. All right. So let's see here. Where was I at? It was 15 long tattooing cycles where A'Sharad Hett once again came to the attention of the Jedi Council, whereupon Kai Adi Mundi. So again, if you read the comics, you know where this leads up to. Let's see here. I pirate every game. I don't like MMO games. Other people ruin games for me. Laugh out loud. Let me see here. I accidentally said she instead of he, so I had to rewrite the post. That's okay. Anakin described to Padme how he killed all the Tusken Raiders was more creepy than if we see it. Kind of reminds me of Quint's Indianapolis speech from Jaws. Very interesting bit right there. Thank you for sharing. All right. So I know we're coming up on the hour and we need to get into Cringe Factor, and I have two of them, but we're going to get a little bit more into this here. The early years of A'Sharad Hett may not seem very, intriguing, but this sets up who he is, his interactions with Anakin, what Anakin reveals, how he is for Anakin for a while, and the time of when he thought Obi-Wan was dead. So very compelling. So let's see what Soul Assassin has to say here. Kind of crazy how A'Sharad Hett would end up back on Tatooine to lead Tusken War Party till Kenobi stopped him like Kai Adi did his dad. It rhymes with, yeah. And we'll get into that. Oh my God, I can't wait to get into that. His Darth Krayt recalling that. But I might do that separate from the Legacy era when we get into that. I might pin down what part of the timeline this is. We know it's in between, of course, episode 3 and 4. So I might time it into that, and then we'll go back to it once we get into Legacy. So I'm planning this all out for you guys here. Trying to keep it all in order and then using it as a callback once we get into Legacy, just to remind us and get into more of that conversation why A'Sharad Hett as Darth Krayt thinks and feels the way he does about the Skywalkers. Very interesting stuff there. Very interesting. Let's see here. All right. Very, very interesting. All right. Let's see. Let's get back to the page here. So Kai Adi Mundi was sent to track him down For A'Sharad, meeting the Jedi was like opening a door to a whole new world. Just imagine that, because you knew your father, you know, probably talked about being a Jedi at one time, teaching you these ways, you know, and they were kind of foreign, kind of alien to you still, but not to your father. And then actually meeting a Jedi, you know. So it was a curious encounter. In order to come of age, to be regarded as a person, even, it is necessary for a Tusken to perform a great act of bravery and courage. For A'Sharad, this opportunity arose when Kai Adi Mundi fell into the cave of a great dragon, and the younger was forced to go to his rescue. So again, so you have this coming of age where, you know, the Tuskens would either go and get that pearl, that so-called pearl within the crate dragon, and survive that encounter, or an act of bravery, you know, something like that. And usually dealing with a crate dragon, just imagine that, because crate dragons basically are their nemesis, their enemy, I guess you could say, their predator. I mean, if anything could put fear into a Tusken Raider, it's a crate dragon. And again, referring back to the Kenobi novel, you know, the Settler's Call that Oren created, that had the crate dragon call, that scared the hell out of Tusken Raiders, made them flee. That's what they used as an alarm. So that tells you something. So imagine a young Tusken Raider wanting to come of age, having to face a crate dragon. That would scare the shit out of anyone, right? Especially these Tuskens, these who don't fear anything really. Yeah. Let's see, where did I leave off at? Into the crate dragon, and the youngster was forced to go to his rescue. A'Sharad succeeded in delivering a lethal blow to the creature by striking both a Gaddafi stick and a flaming torch through its eyes. So, you know, a little bit of Tusken history here. You know, they were, I mean, literally, and I'm not using this stereotypically, they were friggin' savage. They had no fear. Like, even for the Great Dragon, they fear them, but they met that fear. That's a friggin' bravery right there. They seen themselves as superior, that even their gods, like their gods was the twin sons, and there's a bit of history there. We'll get into that later. But there's the story of the twin sons and why they wrap themselves, and what the twin sons are doing in the sky, chasing each other, and the story behind that. Very interesting. Now, this is Star Wars, but damn, it's fleshed out, right? I mean, people are like, oh, it's only for kids. It's fucking fleshed out. And this is the reason why a lot of EU fans, like the majority of EU fans that grew up with this, are so upset for it being tossed after the purchase, like 2 years after the purchase. And we're coming up on that anniversary now. Oh boy, we're coming up on that anniversary announcement. It's this month. It's this month. And there's a reason why. Because, like, imagine fleshing out this, like, race of these beings that are on Tatooine, the first original planet of Star Wars. Like, the first planet we basically see. Well, you could say Alderaan. No, Tatooine. Tatooine, the first planet. And you have these tribal type people, who they have this custom of brutality and stuff, even with each other. Like, they have the myth keepers, and these myth keepers only live to tell these stories of their culture, right? But if they get the story wrong, because they're oral people, they're oral traditions. If they get the story wrong in any way, you're dead. You're gone. You're dead. So imagine being a wisdom keeper, I guess you could say, cultural keeper, a story keeper, and your life ends if you get something wrong. So even though these tribes of Tusken Raiders there's different tribes of them. So even though they're kind of scattered in livable areas of Tatooine, they're not like all over Tatooine, but in livable places. Each one had their lore keeper, I guess you could say, and they all had to make sure that these stories were correct, that they were telling them correctly, even though they're from different tribes. So very interesting. Very interesting. Something to look more into, but I just thought I'd share that with you guys as well. Let's see here. Let's see. I'll be busting out the Phantom Menace DVD on May 4th. I don't do the May 4th there. That's not the traditional Star Wars day. And busting the surround sound. So May 19th is actually the Phantom Menace's anniversary. Just to let you know, May 19th is the Phantom Menace. But have fun on May 4th anyways. Enjoy. Very brutal society the Tuscans live. Correct. They live a very brutal. Let me see here. Yeah, May 25th is the real Star Wars day. Correct. So May 19th basically is the Phantom Menace's anniversary. May 25th is, and yes, I stand corrected, Melissa Lord, is the real Star Wars day. Remember when crate dragons used to look like dragons and not giant sandworms? Yes. Yes, May 19th it is. Let me see here. I hate when my voice gets all crackly on you guys. At least the EU can be tarnished by the new canon crap. EU is its own continuity. Yes, it is its own, and I'm happy they're not expanding on it and continuing it, because I'm pretty sure would be bitching about that because of some missteps and stuff that they're allowing with their own lore that they'll probably be adding into the EU. I really want to see the re-release of the Phantom Menace this May. I'm not going because I'm not going to give Disney my money. I would rather just watch it at home, have a barbecue, sit down, enjoy it, and not give Disney my money. Tyrannozilla says, I'd argue that the Tusken Raiders were worse than animals. At least an animal hunts for insects. Raiders seemed much more sadistic. And it's a reason why George made them that way. They are made to be that way. And it's okay to make some cultures that way. It's okay. And let's see here. Let me see. Fracture Filter says, good to know about May 19th for the Phantom Menace. Try to keep that in mind. Yes. So May 19th is the release of the Phantom Menace. Let me see here. And like I said, on my Twitter page, every Wednesday leading up to the week of the Phantom Menace's anniversary, you will get a commercial tone of the Phantom Menace. So those are very interesting. The Phantom Menace release. So May 19th, you guys. And I believe Tim of Open Airlock Policy, basically USA, is going to have some kind of watch party review of that to be scheduled. So I would stay tuned for that. I was wondering if I should do something similar with you guys. So we'll see. And do a pre-show with the channel members, and then I'll open up for the watch party to everyone. So pre-show with channel members and open to everyone. So I don't know yet exactly. I will have to take a look at my schedule. There's a lot of shit going on in my real life, my personal life, that has me slowly producing stuff for the channel. And I apologize for that, but that's just life. I'm preparing to propose my own art show. And the proposal's due at the end of May. So I have to finish some pieces, get my portfolio up, take some pictures, some quality pictures of the art that I'm proposing to use, all of that. And so it's been a fun project in itself. Let's see here. So Soul Assassin says, I wonder if Star Wars was still under Lucas, we might have seen the extinction of the Tuscans since their numbers were declined fast. Yeah, and then after the Vong too, because we know that the Vong eventually hit Tatooine. And that's another reason why Luke, made the Twin Sun Squadron, is in memory of Tatooine. Melissa says, premiere showing of the Phantom Menace started May 19th, 1999, but was still original scheduled for May 25th, but overwhelming demand made them move the date. Yeah. Yep. I know there's like how many movies, Star Wars movies came out on the 25th? Besides the original? Yeah, but that's the actual date. Yeah. I remember that. I really wish I saw the 2012 re-release of The Phantom Menace because at least Disney didn't own Fox yet. Yeah, true. Very, very true. Let's see here. I was there May 19th, 1999, day one. Same here, girl. Same here. Amazing day. Oh my God. And the energy, everything. Oh my God. Okay. So we're going to have to plan a watch party, you guys, and have channel members come in and do a pre-show so we could talk about it and stuff and then do the watch party. But that's going to be dedicated time. So I want to know if people want to do that. That's required dedicated time, because the pre-show party, I guess you could say, which would probably only be a half an hour or less, and then going into the watch party. So we'll see. So let's go ahead and finish this because we do have the cringe factor to get into, and we actually have two this time. It multiplied. It multiplied. Let me see here. I need to get that clip on. Now there's two from Gunray and stuff. Soul Assassin says, I wasn't there day one, but was there to see episode 1 on the big screen. What a time. Yes, some of us didn't make it day one. Some of us did, but we were still there. I remember the teachers at school didn't want me to go because they thought I would misbehave. Sure showed them. That's hilarious. Yes, and click 1 if you want OG and Liquid Blake to do a review on episode 1. So he's throwing Liquid Blake. Liquid Blake is like the fan of the Phantom Menace. That is his thing. All right, let's get back to this here so we can go into our cringe factor. All right. The Jedi Killer. That was one of the proudest days of A'Sharad Hett's life, but tragedy was soon to follow. The following morning, the Tuscans came under attack while the Jedi slain bounty hunter Aura Singh was attempting to kill Sharad. At the battle's height, A'Sharad Bantha was killed by Singh, while Sharad himself was fatally injured by her. And so we have a little history going on here. Tuscans bond with their Banthas, with their ride, with their steed, I guess you could say. They're not really a steed, but you know what I mean. And so if they die, that can compromise you as a Tuscan as well. Interesting culture. Like I said, it's amazing how much is fleshed out. And do you really think that Disney could have done a better job? I don't. I honestly don't think they could have done a better job. So let's go on. It was a double blow for the young Jedi. Banthas and Tuscans bond for life. When a Bantha dies, a Tuscan is cast out of his clan to wander the desert. Having only just been recognized as an adult within the tribe, A'Sharad was about to be expelled from it altogether. With nothing left to bind him to Tatooine, A'Sharad, determined to join the Jedi, with his last breath, his father asked Kai Adi Mundi to become A'Sharad's master. Kai promised to do so and humbly took on A'Sharad's handed his lightsaber to his son and became one with the Force. So there you go. This is A'Sharad Hett's journey as a Jedi. It begins there. His father gives him his lightsaber. Kind of mirrors a little bit with Anakin being taken in by Obi-Wan, right? As to be trained. Because on Qui-Gon's death, Obi-Wan promised. So there's that similarity, right? There's that similarity. Joining the Jedi was a courageous decision for A'Sharad and a curious reversal of his father's fate. You know, so we seen A'Sharad come in from the Jedi and become a Tusken. Now we see his son, who was raised as a Tusken with a little bit of Jedi training, I guess you could say, a little bit of understanding of the Force, go from a Tusken to a Jedi. A'Sharad had joined the Tuskens after the death of his family, but A'Sharad was to leave his Tusken kin and join the Jedi community. A new life was about to begin. So we begin now the journey of A'Sharad Hett's lore. So next Thursday, stay tuned for some more. And we get into more of that. What happens, him becoming a master and taking on Anakin at one point as his Padawan learner. We'll get all into that. What happened between him and Obi-Wan, and what happened to him during the Vong War, and then leading into the Legacy era. So him forming the one Sith. So there we go. Oh my God. So this right here, amazing stuff. Let's see here. Never really saw episode 1 on the big screen. Mostly just watched it via the old VHS tape that we owned at the time. Same with the original trilogy, special edition re-releases on VHS as well. Oh my God, the old VHS. Holy crap. I still have a VHS player, and I have like the OT on VHS. Let's see here. And I still support your decision, but if I still might consider seeing the re-release, we'll see if I'll have time in this May. It's up to you. I'm not telling you how you spend your money. I recommend not give Disney the money, but that's obviously up to you. All right, you guys. So what do you think about A'Sharad Hett and this history here? Some of you guys, like you told me, only know of him through the Legacy comics when he's Crate. So let me know. We're going to get into Cringe Factor here pretty soon. Let me go ahead and take this off the screen here. All right. So let me know. What do you think about this character so far? What have you learned? If you're learning something new about the Tusken Raiders, what do you think about that? Does that change your perspective of the Tusken Raiders? Does it give you more insight to why they're so brutal in this brutal land? Tatooine is a freaking brutal land. It is. It's a brutal land, you know. And another little bit of history is that they don't care for the settlers because they mine the water. Water is basically sacred to them, I guess you can say. And so that's kind of like blasphemy to them. And technology is blasphemy to them. Let's see here. It says this Republic Comics. So, yep, check it out. So we're going to get into... So you guys let me know what you think of what we just went over with A'Sharad Hett, and the Tusken culture a bit. So we got a little bit more glimpse into that. And we're going to get into Cringe Factor. I have 2 of them. First, we only had 1. And then my nosy ass is like, let me see what's going on now. And I found another this morning. So we're going to get into 2. 2 are referring back to Revenge of the Sith. So stay tuned for that. What the hell are they saying about Revenge of the Sith now? Revenge of the Sith is probably one of the most popular movies in the 6 movie saga, I guess you can say. And probably most favorites of the PT trilogy. So what are they saying about that? What's going on? Why is it a cringe factor piece? So let's go ahead and start make our way into that. So first we'll go ahead and listen to, speaking of New Jedi Order, let's get into the commercial.
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure if this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
So uncivilized.
So here we go, you guys, ladies and gents. And you know what? I'd rather have the full screen here. So we have this here. And we're going to get into this article here. So I have it scrolled down to what I want to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and scroll up and show you exactly what's going on here. Oh, so what's going on with these articles about the Revenge of the Sith? So let's get into this. So this one here, this is the one I found today. And so it's not, I really didn't, put this in the description because it's something I wanted to add to the cringe factor. One Clone Wars moment shows just how badly Yoda failed Anakin Skywalker. This is by Liz DeClan. So it was published about 2 hours ago. Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side of the Force had many layers, but Star Wars, the Clone Wars show, had shows that at least one layer was Master Yoda. So they're saying Master Yoda through the Clone Wars, and we're not going to get into this. We're going to get into more or less the Revenge of the Sith. But they're saying Yoda was his reason for falling to the dark side. And we're going to get into the scene right here. Master Yoda discouraged Anakin Skywalker from acting on his Force visions. So we'll get into that. So this basically, that's the whole crux of it. So do you think Yoda is responsible for Anakin's fall? What do you think? The article just lost me when I read Clone Wars moments, laugh out loud. Definitely will look into A'Sharad Hett. Yes, I agree. I still don't have any sympathy for the Tuscans, but but I'll read more about A'Sharad Hett when I get the chance. And it's not going to really build your sympathy for them. It's going to be like, oh, what the fuck, they're screwed up. But it's going to also steer away from that as well. Anonymous Gamer says, I've really saw episode 1 on the big screen. Oh yeah, I read that one right there. Let me see here. Anything else? Okay, that's it. Let's see here. The Acolyte will make Yoda look like the villain. Oh, they're already doing that, Christopher. They've been making him like a villain throughout the High Republic as well. So let's see here. Let's get into this. I'm going to read one more. Yoda said that in the Revenge of the Sith novel, only one responsible for Anakin's fall is Anakin. No one's fault but his own, basically Anakin's own. Yes, I remember that. That's one of my absolute favorite novels. It's, I consider the movie novels a part of the EU. So they're that little bit of bridge, I guess you can say. They're still, movie canon or movie lore, like the foundation, I guess you want to say. But they are also part of the EU, especially when you get into Revenge of the Sith novelization. This is where Matthew Stover was brilliant in, linking everything in with Revenge of the Sith that needed to be. He thought of the future of Luke Skywalker and added that too. Smash that like button. Yes, smash it. Smash it real good. Let me see. Let me go back to the correct screen. All right. In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin's first attempt to do the right thing. When he began having nightmares about Padme's death, he went to Master Yoda and sought advice. And we're going to play that clip. I'm going to play that clip. Not only was this undoubtedly what the Jedi Council would have wanted Anakin to do in this case, but it was also very out of character for him. So they're saying the council would want Anakin to do it, but it's very out of character for Anakin. I think Anakin has been very honest with a lot of them, with some circumstances, with some scenarios. Keeping Padme and his marriage a secret was where he was dishonest, I guess you can say. Throughout Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Anakin was suffering from his nightmares about his mother. Oh yeah, and he didn't tell about that because that was something secret. I mean, he could have, that was pivotal to his fall. And so I kind of step away from, oh yeah, he's very honest. He was honest to a certain level. So Yeah, so I kind of take that back a little bit. Intense frustrations over Obi-Wan's teaching style, and of course the Tusken Raiders incident. I don't think that. What do you think about that? Did Anakin have intense frustration over Obi-Wan's teaching style? I think every Padawan, and I'm even going to say this with Yoda, had frustrations with their master for training. It's just a given because you're learning, and sometimes that learning, that whatever technique or whatever you're being trained on, times it could be frustrating. Sometimes a master pushing you, knowing your quality, knowing you can do, but then you're feeling like you're a failing all the time, can be frustrating. And who does Anakin have to compare Obi-Wan to when maybe he's only had one other master? And that goes back to A'Sharad Hett, basically. He barely knew Qui-Gon. So you can't use Qui-Gon as, oh, well, Qui-Gon would have been treated him a lot better. No. He probably would have felt frustrated with him as well. And of course, the Tusken Raiders incidents. At no point did he seek the guidance of the Jedi Master. He sought guidance. He just was very dishonest with some of the things he did, which made him fall. Master Yoda doesn't exactly help when Anakin truly confront his nightmares and move forward. Instead, he explains that he may be having premonitions, and he essentially tells Anakin just to ignore them, to surely increase Anakin's anxiety about Padme's death, as presumptions would make this terrible visions he was having all the more possible than just nightmares would. Despite that, Yoda is resolute that Anakin shouldn't act on them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video, the clip that I have prepared for this, and we'll see what you guys have to say, because that's not at all what was going on. What's up, Sith Assassin Trayla, another channel member? Thank you for tuning in. Just in time for Cringe Factor. Rewind and catch the A'Sharad Hett Lore and our conversations before that. Anonymous Gamer says, I've read the entire original trilogy novelizations and have only read the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Excuse me. Are the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clone novels worth the read? I would say read them. I'm not going to say yes or no. I want you to make that own opinion yourself. Let's see here. I saw a video that showed the last few minutes of Revenge of the Sith with audio from the audiobook. Quite an experience. So we're going to get back to this article, but I'm going to share the video. I want to share that conversation between Obi-Wan and Yoda. Now, do you guys remember, and Yoda repeats this a lot, and then we have Luke then repeating this to his own order. But, you can't rely, and I'm paraphrasing, you can't rely on visions of the future because they're always in motion, right? You can't really rely on it being the truth. It's just one of the truth. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way. That's why you don't act upon them. And that's the same wisdom he's telling Anakin that is repeated to Luke in Empire Strikes Back. Think about it. Because you don't act upon visions of the future because it's just only one of many that could happen. So let's get into this video here. And I think the person is failing to realize that. Now, hopefully I don't. Let me go ahead and fast forward this to them together. All right.
Premonitions. These visions you have.
They have pain, suffering, death.
Yourself, you speak of?
Okay, I just gotta say, and I'm pausing too for the sake of copyright, I guess you could say. That image of Anakin when he's looking up and talking about that, that too is its premonition of him going dark. That is some amazing, amazing shots here. Okay.
Or someone you know.
Someone.
Close to you.
Yes.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin. The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
I won't let these visions come true, Master Yoda.
Death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not.
Now, this mirrors again Empire Strikes Back in a sense, even though Luke's visions are different compared to Anakin's. And this also goes into, like, we don't have control of the future. And this is like goes into real life too. We don't have control of the future, right? And we do have grievance, we do have that when we lose people and stuff like that. But if you go in, what am I trying to say? If you fully go into losing yourself in the loss of a loved one, that can hurt you. So celebrate them, their life, and let them go. And I think that's our cultures throughout the whole world, and even in mythologies, talk about this. And George was brilliant with this. And this is also echoed in Luke's new Jedi Order, and Luke did lose himself a bit when he lost Mara Jade, and his son Ben Skywalker had to bring him out of that. So another reflection of this. So he's given him some wisdom, but Anakin doesn't want to let go. And it's because of love, yes. It's because of fear, yes. And it's because he sees her as a possession as well. And we know that goes into the novelization and even the movie. But let me play more.
Attachment leads to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is.
What must I do, Master Yoda?
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
And there you go. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. So there's that bit right here. So do you think that Yoda... Whoops, let me go ahead and get out of this. That's what happens when I forget to click dismiss. All right, let me see what you guys have to say. If Anakin did what Yoda said, then Padme would have survived because it was his fear that ended up killing her. Exactly. So if you see his visions of her are crying on the birthing bed in grief of what happened between her and Anakin on Mustafar as she's given birth and being heartbroken, all of that. That's the vision he sees. We know where that vision is. Like, we know exactly what that vision comes from, but he doesn't. But he is the one that causes her death. So if he would have listened to about, reconciling loss and stuff like that. Now, mind you, he wasn't raised like many Jedi were at a younger age to be able to have that training. He came in with knowing of attachments, I guess you could say, in a sense. So if he would have listened, like Soul Assassin said, her death wouldn't have happened. But it needed to happen because that was the most pivotal moment of his fall. There were others, but that right there was the crux of his fall. The crux of his fall. So let me go ahead and bring that article back up. We'll get into that, and then we'll get into the second cringe factor. Let me see here. Lucas mistake. Okay. Share. All right. So, do you think Yoda was giving him wrong advice? Do you think this was a mistake? Do you think this was like made Yoda at fault for Anakin's fall? Do you really think Yoda should have said, "Oh, act upon it"? What do you think about that? Let's see here. Ultimately, this only drives Anakin further into Palpatine's trap. He's already, this is like towards the end. This is like towards his fall. Anakin has already been in the crux of Palpatine's manipulation. This doesn't push him into it. He's already there. Whereas Yoda's response made Anakin feel helpless to stop this future, it didn't make him feel helpless. He just didn't want to take the advice. Palpatine offered him a way out. Anakin was blind to what Palpatine was doing. That's part of manipulation. And so, Palpatine wanted him as his apprentice. So, of course, Anakin, being very fucking naive as he is, like wearing his heart on his sleeve, confiding into Palpatine about this. Palpatine's like this Sith, like, I want this guy as my apprentice. So he took advantage of it. So this isn't like as if it's just happening then and there. Palpatine was already positioning himself in to Anakin's life to manipulate him, to turn him to the dark. So this didn't push him towards Palpatine. It's already been happening. While Anakin's eventual massacre of the Jedi and transformation into Darth Vader can't be excused, this comparison does make him slightly more sympathetic. No, it does not. It's all Anakin's fault here. He chose not to take the advice of the Grandmaster, of his master, basically, to Yoda, because Yoda is master to everyone in the Order. And he chose not to take the advice. Everything was Anakin's choice. Everything. And just like Revenge of the Sith novelization, it reflects upon that as well. Falling on the heels of his mother's brutal death and his loneliness for the moment he arrived on Coruscant, the thought of losing Padme was too much to bear. He had to stop it. So basically, I'm going to end here on here because I can give care less for the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars in itself is just an abomination, but that's my opinion. Let's go ahead and see what you have to say. I don't think Yoda meant for any fault, but I like how Luke rewrote some of the rules of the Jedi, allowing them to be married in order to prevent another Lord. Actually, no. Luke had no idea about the opinion on the PT Order's thoughts or opinion on marriage. If you read Survivor's Quest, he does question that. He's like, I don't know if Jedi back then allowed them to marry or not. So that right there was very vague, and he did not have any answers to that. So he didn't purposely rewrite that to prevent another Lord Vader, because that's just not the way someone would turn dark, as we know. So very interesting there, though, because Luke does go into were Jedi allowed to marry, and he didn't have an answer to that. He didn't have an answer to that. And that goes into Survivor's Quest. So another interesting book to read. He just didn't like Yoda's advice. No, he didn't like Yoda's advice whatsoever. No, Yoda only tried to steer him to into the path with less pain, and Anakin didn't take it that way. Correct. He was going into it selfishly. He was going into how he would it would make him feel like, and his needs. He wasn't thinking about, how it could make him suffer less, I guess you could say. So he went into the greed part of it. The anonymous gamer says Palpatine had been manipulating Anakin for many years. To me at least, his fall to the dark side was inevitable. Yes, exactly. And let's see here. And okay, thanks. Yeah, so that's an interesting read. And I think a lot of people think that Luke knew about the attachment when it came to marriage. He did not. And I think I really need to do a short on that or something like that, because that's a big, huge misconception. Anakin or Luke didn't know the direction of the Jedi during that time when it came to marriage, but he did correct it unknowingly. And you can kind of say maybe it was the will of the Force. Yoda seen the future. He's seen that that Luke would change the order for the best. So we have that, and that's all in chapter our section called the New Jedi Order of Revenge of the Sith. So that's something to look into. At least read that section there to learn what Yoda felt about himself during this time, the fall of the order, about the promise of Luke Skywalker in the future, all of that. That's all there. That is all there. Hola. Hello. How are you doing, Steezo? So hopefully that kind of opened your mind a little bit more to picking up some more books and reading, because it's all, like I said, this history all documented in this fantasy of Star Wars, or the sci-fi of Star Wars, or whatever you want to call it, is amazing because it has this beautiful continuity. It's rich with the lore. It's rich with tying things in, and its expansion and its evolution to the future and into the past. All of that beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. So let's get into the next cringe factor. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. We'll probably go over my 2-hour mark that I like to stay within, but that's okay. We are here together, and I'm just going to text my son real quick because I know we had a lunch date. Let me see here what time he wants to go. What time for lunch? All right. So let's see here. Correcting one George Lucas's mistakes. Okay, so this is it. Are you guys ready? Revenge of the Sith, aka bashing what George did before. And this is from Kevin Erdman here, published 4 hours ago. So, well, according to this, I pulled this up last night, so it's more than 4 hours ago. And let's see here, Star Wars Marvel Purist. What's up, OG and chat? You just missed a Cringe Factor article about Yoda being blamed for Anakin's fall. So you can rewind on that. But we did talk about A'Sharad Hett earlier, so catch the replay. Very awesome lore there within A'Sharad Hett's character development. Soul Assassin says Plo Koon's niece, Sha Koon, had a vision of Luke. Yes, you're right. And the New Jedi Order when she fought Vader. Yes. The sun will bring the Jedi back. Yes. Oh God, that gave me chills. Yes, she did. That's amazing. That is amazing. Damn late as fuck. I'll check out the replay. Yes. But thank you for hopping in and saying hello. Let's see here. The rule of one. Yes. Let's see here. All right. So let's get into this. Let me see here. I'm going to answer my son back real quick. Type this. So grab you guys' drink. Let me put on a quick little commercial break. Let's get into this one.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
All right. So here we go. Correcting one George Lucas mistake. One of George Lucas mistake would have made Revenge of the Sith even better. So one. So basically, more focus on Padme rather than Kashyyyk and Revenge of the Sith would have improved the final prequel film. So here we go. So we're getting into, okay, so we needed more of Padme. Some of these deleted scenes should have stayed and remained, and Kashyyyk was pointless. So let's see what you guys think about this. I'm already going to hop into the chat and see what's going on here. You still showed me the article the other day, and it's still cringe as hell. Yes, it is. Slave One. Yep. Let's see here. I saw this title but didn't read because I knew it would make me roll my eyes too hard. Yes, too hard. Yeah, they all do. Screen Rant and CBR are the most, like, the ones to offer the cringe for these articles. Get the George haters fired up. Yes, let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and close out a couple windows just because. Okay. Correcting one mistake made by George Lucas in Revenge of the Sith would have made the final Star Wars prequel movie even better, showcasing the end of Clone Wars with the corruption of Anakin Skywalker before the rise of the Galactic Empire. Revenge of the Sith is one of the most important and momentous movies in the entire Skywalker saga. However, one major character deserved far more screen time and agency than she ultimately got. So they're talking about Padme. All right, so as seen in Revenge of the Sith, multiple campaigns and battles are being waged across the galaxy, with the Republic's clone troopers being led by their Jedi generals. This includes the Wookiee homeworld Kashyyyk. Now, we all know that Kashyyyk and the Wookiees play a pivotal role in the Star Wars lore, especially for the Empire and the building of the Death Star. Okay, so I will say that. So I think maybe it's kind of important to kind of give an idea of Kashyyyk and the Wookiees and stuff and what's going on with their homeworld, because I think they are one of the most enslaved species within the Empire, like because of their tactical, technical intelligence, I guess you could say. They can build, they have the strength, all of that. But we'll get into this some more. Which receives far more screen time than most other planets seen on screen, perhaps matching. And also, it showed, where Yoda was during the Order 66 and how he was saved and how he came back to try to defeat Palpatine. So there's those little pivotal moments important to Yoda, too, when it came to Kashyyyk and the plot for Yoda. Perhaps matched only by Utapau with Obi-Wan Kenobi's final confrontation with General Grievous. However, the decision to feature Kashyyyk so heavily in Revenge of the Sith is somewhat odd, considering how much of Padme Amidala's arc was cut in the final prequel film. So let me see what you guys have to say. Sub to Raging Rhino. Let's see here. I thought they were going to say Ahsoka because she gets shoved into everything now, right? Oh my God. Right? Let's see here. But what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Oh, yes. All right. Let's get back to this article. Now, do you guys think, I'm going to see if I can click out of this. Nope, it's not going to let me. Do you guys think Padme should have been given more time? Do you think her time just in Revenge of the Sith was good enough? Let me know. So this is an awesome picture image here. So very cool. Due to its galactic position, and before I read this, a part of why I think too George showed more of the Wookiees is because of Chewie and the Wookiees being introduced in A New Hope. And maybe he had something to do with the lore on Wookiees being enslaved and all of that. But that will be for another discussion. Let's see here. Let's go down here. I'm going to have to probably skim through this whole thing, even though I don't want to. Due to the galactic position as a major navigational point, Kashyyyk became a key role during the Clone Wars. Well, yes, probably Wookiee, because of probably Yoda's arc where he was almost slaughtered by his clones, and how they helped him escape. As such, a major invasion force was mustered, and if he was left on Coruscant, he probably would have been killed in the temple, right? He probably would have been taken out. But anyways, let's go on here. A major invasion force was mustered by the Separatist Alliance in the final days of the war, prompting an equally large counteroffensive from the Galactic Republic, supporting the mighty Wookiee warriors. with efforts being coordinated by Jedi Master Luminara and Unduli with support of Quinlan Vos, Jedi Master Yoda himself. And it goes into the lore. So he goes into the lore who was there, because we know Quinlan Vos was there, nearly killed, and then he was reunited with his family, promising to stay, to not be a Jedi anymore, all of that. There's that lore behind there. Jedi Grandmaster Yoda himself provided further support in the campaign, as seen in Revenge of the Sith, having been present on the Forest World during the tragic events of Order 66 and the Jedi Purge. Yes, where he was nearly taken out. He needed to be away from Coruscant. And I think George wanted to highlight Kashyyyk because of who Chewie is, the significance of the Wookiees in the lore, and the significance of having Yoda being somewhere different, and him safely being saved, saved, and uniting with Bail. To that end, Kashyyyk is featured multiple times during the Revenge of the Sith. Not only are multiple scenes of the battle shown, but also the events of Order 66 and Yoda's escape from the world once a clone's turn on the Jedi. There we go. So you're saying my points. It needs to happen because that's where he was. If Yoda was somewhere else, another planet, then that planet would be shown. The events of the Clone Wars, the battles there would have been shown. Get where I'm getting where I'm going there? Remarkably, there were even scenes cut from the final film despite its comparatively long length, such as Quinlan Vos being betrayed by his clone while aboard the turbo tank, seen as how the Wookiee homeworld was originally envisioned for Return of the Jedi before Lucas chose to go with Endor Ewoks. Yeah, well, is George making up for that? I will look into that, but I highly doubt it. As impressive as the Battle of Kashyyyk is, it's worth noting that it doesn't do much for Anakin Skywalker's corruption to the dark side. It doesn't. This scene with Kashyyyk is about Yoda's survival. There's a huge difference. We needed to see, just like Utapau was about Obi-Wan's survival. And the killing of Grievous. Yes, so there's a point to that as well. But there's a point to why Kashyyyk was put in there. And that was about Yoda's survival. And also shared the Wookiees' commitment and life debt to the Jedi. So there's no real connection point. I just said the connection point, as the focus with Kashyyyk is primarily on Yoda. That's exactly it. It's about Yoda's survival, because we need to know how Yoda survived. And was able to get back onto Coruscant. There's that Yoda's, I guess you could say, character point there. As such, it's somewhat bizarre that so much time is dedicated to Wookiee homeworld when the movie's overarching focus is meant to be the fall of the Chosen One. Yoda. So yes, it shows Anakin's fall, but it has to also show Yoda's survival. What happened to him? How did he survive Order 66? Just like Obi-Wan is shared that. His seduction to the dark side of the Force by Palpatine, aka Darth Vader, and that was revealed. Let me see what you guys have to say. Oh my god, it's like I'm correcting this idiot throughout this. Okay. George Lucas cut key Padme scenes to focus on Anakin. What a sexist, misogynist bigot. There we go. The writer doesn't like the Wookiee or Yoda is what I'm getting from this article, right? Let's see here. The extra scenes with Padme weren't really necessarily. No, and some of them, and we'll get to this, but I'll say it right now, is like the meaning of the 2000, basically. Petition of the 2000. Yeah, that could have stayed in. That would have been awesome. But we understood that there was something being formed to the lore. the novelization has it. The novelization has it. So it's not necessarily not canon. You just don't see it, and that's okay. The writer is taking a long time to get to the point they want to make. Yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's see here. Read this one. My phone is going off like crazy. The only thing that would have made Revenge of the Sith better would have been an animated adaptation based on the novelization in the style of the 2003 Clone Wars cartoon. An interesting idea that would have never happened. Like a small series, just adding those other things in. Yoda is a male, therefore he's evil. They don't focus enough on strong women. Well, let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's get to this. Let's get to this so we can close out and we can get ready for next week's CAF Chat. I'm thinking of doing maybe once a month or twice a month Cantina nights on Tuesday nights. So we'll see. Stay tuned for that. Giving Kashyyyk so much screen time is even more strange considering how much Padmé's Revenge of the Sith cut was for the sake of focusing more on Anakin and his temptation to the dark side. There you go, you guys. You called it. As his secret wife, Padme is crucial to Anakin's story, as is her opposition to Palpatine's increase in power. And we got that in the movie. Even with the deleted scenes, those scenes being deleted, we got that. Considering her own significant journey throughout the first two prequel films, it's unfortunate that some of Padmé's best scenes were deleted from Revenge of the Sith final cut. Oh, how dare George cut out a strong female character scenes, even though we got it perfectly well how Padmé felt and her stance against Palpatine. While still part of the established Star Wars canon, deleted scenes from the Revenge of the Sith featured Padmé's meeting with key figures of the future Rebel Alliance, such as Senator Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, having formed the delegation of 2000s. Official opposition was being formed against Palpatine and his growing abuse of power, with Padmé at the heart. That has nothing to do with Anakin's fall. As you said, as you're stating so significantly clear, it's about Anakin's fall. He doesn't know about the delegation of the 2000, the meeting. He didn't know about it, so that has nothing to do with his fall. However, these moments were removed from the final cut. As a result, Padmé's character is depicted as far more passive than she actually was during the final days of the Clone Wars. The reason why is that that's not really significant to Anakin's fall. He didn't know about that meeting, really, not until later, not until way later. And he still protected her. So there's that. Let me go on. So there's this cut scene here. Although they can be still watched as part of Revenge of the Sith collected deleted scenes, these key scenes where Padmé help show the growing rift between her and Anakin, who is favored by Palpatine. So I wouldn't say this was a growing rift between them. When we finally see the growing rift was with her going to Anakin on Mustafar and her realizing his stance. That's where that rift began. Likewise, they also help confirm that Padmé would have almost certainly been a key leader of the Rebel Alliance had she survived beyond the events of Revenge of the Sith. No, she wouldn't. You're going into what ifs now, and I'm not going to put you there. So let's see here. And it further cements the idea that she would have never joined Anakin following the corruption to the dark side of the Force. She already shared that when she ran to him at Mustafar and what he was revealing to her. So again, that scene was not necessarily. We already got that through the scenes that were already shown in the movie. Without these scenes, Padmé's arc in Revenge of the Sith isn't as dynamic as it could have been. So what do you guys think about that? So you think that Kashyyyk And Yoda being on Kashyyyk should have been taken out for that scene for the sake of Padme, even though that clearly shown what was going on with Yoda, with the Wookiees, and how he survived to go into exile. Now, you can get a lot of this, you can get that deleted scene in the novel, but when you watch the movie, even without that scene, it doesn't hinder her stepping away from Anakin not having to follow him. So that was not necessary. It was perfectly understood without that. Oh, I6, we're getting ready to, close out the show now, but thank you for coming and hanging out with us for the last few minutes. All right. Let's see. Padme wouldn't have survived past the Clone Wars. Palpatine would have saw it to in order to have Anakin. Yes, if she was secret. She was secret in this. And she was very clear about that. And she kept a lot of things secret. But if he would have known, she would have been dead. She would have been dead. So, but Padme's story wouldn't have been the fall of the Republic, but Padme's story would have been the fall of the Republic, not Anakin's fall to the dark side, which is why fans were there to begin with, to see why Anakin turned to the dark side. Correct. It wasn't about her stance against Palpatine. It was about the fall of Anakin. Let's see here. Let's see. This idiot thinks we should have spent less time with Anakin during the dark. Right. So there you go. So this is the cringe factor here. This is the cringe factor. He's not focusing on it being pivotal to Anakin's fall, like he said in the beginning. It's more or less that we should have got more of a strong female character, which we already did. That scene, as pivotal and as important as it is, and I love that scene, and it's in the novelization. It wasn't really necessary for the movie because the people needed to see Anakin's fall. That scene didn't really fit with Anakin's fall. It fit with the forming, like the suspicions of Palpatine and what he's doing, but not Anakin's fall. So there you go. And Kashyyyk was pivotal to Yoda. And so I think it was important to keep it in there. So what do you guys think? We're getting ready to close here. What do you think? Do you think that Kashyyyk scene with Yoda was important to see? Just like, the scene with Obi-Wan on not Mustafar. Geez, I know he was there, but on Utapau. We needed to see how these two survived, what happened to them, what led them to the moments leading them onto Coruscant and then leading them into exile, right? Because those were important to the story going forward. Padme's story really didn't have much ground going forward like Yoda and Obi-Wan. Because once you get into A New Hope, into the OT and past and beyond, not much was known about the mother. But it was all about Bail Organa and Leia, her daughter, right? So, however, the Rebel Alliance was formed wasn't important to the fall of Anakin that needed to be seen on screen. So, with that being said, this was our cringe factor. Again, share what you think. I'm going to read through and we're going to start concluding because I have a lunch date to go to. In that deleted scene, this author is harping about it proves that she wouldn't have been a leader with how she talks to her fellow leaders. All that stuff I'm not show to know or supposed to know or something like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. She was very passive with it because she's pregnant with the twins, right? And she's thinking about her and Anakin's future. And in fact, she basically wanted to run away. It's like she wanted Anakin to leave the order. And she wanted their family to begin without the constraints of, all of that. So Red Hood Wing says, I liked Kashyyyk. It was a new planet and seeing how Yoda survived the Clone Wars into the OT is always a bonus. Correct. I think that was more important is that we need to understand how Yoda survived. this massive purge. And him remaining on Coruscant wasn't going to be it, right? Revenge of the Sith is a masterpiece in all its forms. And I'll say this, that even though they at one point they knew, they had suspicions that Yoda may have survived, they didn't need to know for sure that Yoda survived. That's why it was important for Yoda to be away from Coruscant. Now let me finish reading this. Movie, book, and games authors of this article, space them all. Yes, space them all. OG's going out to lunch. Everybody quickly tell her what you want. Yeah, place your orders here. So again, like I said, I'm thinking of doing maybe once or twice a month a Cantina chat on Tuesday nights. And that will be more into the state of Star Wars talk and what's going on and what's happening. So it'd be more or less outside of George Lucas era of Star Wars, whereas CAF chat will be the opposite end. Still keeping the same format with CAF chat and the state of Star Wars, just a little talk with that. So that, which will probably go into compare and contrasting and all that other stuff. So stay tuned for that. I'm highly considering that because I really liked coming live with you guys Tuesday nights and sitting and chatting with you guys. That was a fun one. So as always, if you're catching the replay, thank you for listening in this far. Please hit that like button, leave your comments. Let me know what you feel about these 2 Cringe Factor articles and also what you know about A'Sharad Hett. And with everybody else that stayed with the show for the whole over 2 hours, thank you so much for sitting in, listening in, and contributing to the conversation. That's what CAF Chat's about. And so tonight, I believe Raging Rhino is still having his casual rage, so stay tuned for that. I'll catch you there. I might be at the gym working out and listening in. I do that a lot because, I like to keep myself healthy. And Friday night is the spacing, so stay tuned for that as well to catch me in the chat. As far as I know, there's not going to be any panelists unless Tim announces it. So either way, I'll be there, chat or on panel, most likely the chat. So stay tuned for that. And as always, you guys have a great day. And may the Force be with you.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Another happy landing.